Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello dear friends, welcome to this fifth lecture of Module 6 on tunnels and methods of tunneling, treatment and anchoring of geological strata. In previous discussion, we have elaborated about the concept of treatment, material used for treatment and types of treatment, and one of anchoring method, that is grounding. Now in this lecture we will start our discussion with background of our previous discussions, then about another commonly used anchoring method, that is rock bolt or process of insertion of rock bolt is rock bolting. In this module, we are going to elaborate about rock bolting under anchoring of rock strata, particularly related to rock bolts and bolting. Regarding this topic, we are going to cover about introduction concerned to anchoring method with background related to grouting and other aspect, definition of rock bolts, structural features of rock bolts, then method for rock bolt installation, then classification of rock bolts. Friends, we have already discussed about the identification concerned to defective strata. Identified defective strata we are going to treat with help of certain suitable material like concrete, like grout, like other materials, chemicals, etc. As far as this strata is concerned, we have already discussed this defective zone such as fault, such as seams, weak zones. We are going to first excavate the weak zones, then going to fill by concrete or going to inject some grout to enhance the strength of rock strata through seam treatment. In case of shear zone and fault, we are going to first excavate the damage zone or shear zone, which is a weak zone due to presence of deformed and fragile rock materials. Similarly, fault zone also, we have fragile fault goo materials, deformed and damaged. So first we are going to remove the weak material step by step, then going to fill or inject grout inside the excavated zone so that the inserted material of grout can reach all the roots associated with fault zone or associated with shear zone. This type of arrangement is similar to the human teeth arrangement and treatment of human teeth as root canal treatment. So similar type of aspects we are going to follow here through emplacement of certain suitable material inside this under pressure. This type of treatment we are going to recognize as dental treatment. For certain type of structures based on the case of dams, we have already discussed about depth of excavation and filling of material. This filling of material is recognized as fault cap zone or depth of cap zone, or simply the depth of treatment zone. As far as treatment, we are going to insert either grout, cement grout, chemical grout, or simply concrete, or simply mortar, or other clay materials, etc., to enhance the ultimate strength of rock strata for future engineering application. As far as anchoring of rock strata is concerned, the anchoring of rock strata partially supported by grouting. Grouting is nothing we have already discussed, injection of material inside a damage zone to make the damage zone in tune of the associated nearby area in view of strength or in view of mechanical response. Another anchoring aspect we are going to perform by inserting bolt, and the process of insertion of the bolt is recognized as rock bolting because we are practicing such type of bolt in rock. This bolting is going to minimize the impact. Grouting is going to fill the voids, open spaces, cracks and others. In this way going to enhance the strength of rock as per requirement. After number of tests, bolting is not going to fill the void. Bolting is going to minimize the impact of damage zone on stability and compactability of structure. So after bolting, the behavior of geoground is similar to the competent or sound or strong geoground as per our need. As far as the rock bolts are concerned, rock bolts are very simple, economical and easy in use. You can see here view of rock bolt bolted in a rock strata to stabilize the chipping of such type of material or sliding of such type of material at a slope. This rock bolt is used for strengthening of rock strata or geoground in structure like underground structure, rock exposed in underground structure, rock exposed in rock cut slope, rock exposed around road alignment, around trenches, around railway track alignment, etc. As far as rock bolt is concerned, we have wide varieties of rock bolts available in market are available for the practice to support underground and shallow surface structure through enhancing the strength of damage zone. Rock bolts are widely utilized in case of underground space structure to anchor the roof or sides of excavated zone. It can be used in any excavation, in any geometry and any type of rock strata where we require for such type of support. This bolt is going to minimize or completely remove the impact of damage zone, which are going to create lot of complicated geotechnical or engineering geological problem. Friends, if we are going to see about rock bolts, you can see the rock bolt we are going to insert. This view is indicating about the installation of rock bolt to enhance the strength of this zone, strength of this damage zone which was caused or resulted due to creation of this opening. The rock bolt inserted in damaged and weak zone, naturally weak zone, to stabilize the detachment of such type of blocks which are going to move downward or the slide of this block or toppling of this block, movement of this block and this block and this block, and overall the whole mass. So if we are going to define rock bolts are, as an introduction, nowadays one of the most popular anchoring and supporting members in engineering geological applications. Why? Because a rock bolt is a long steel rod as per definition, or bar anchored steel bolt for enhancing the strength of rock strata, thus stabilizing engineering structures and natural slope, used for development of engineering structure as well as a solution structure to minimize the impact of natural hazards such as landslides, such as earthquakes, such as volcanoes, floods, etc. A rock bolt is a long steel rod or bar anchored steel bolt for enhancing the strength of rock strata, thus stabilizing foundation strata, slopes, excavations in rock strata such as rock cut, such as tunnel. Principally, it transfer load from the damaged zone or loose zone or unstable peripheral to the strong interior of rock strata. The load caused by this zone is transferred to this intact and sound zone for high stability aspect. As a structural feature is a concern, it is a very simple. As per definition, it is a long steel rod or tube. Both you can see here solid simple steel rod connected with a face plate, and this end of this face plate we are having some anchor nut. This is one view of the tube type of material. This outer part have anchored wedge. This part is recognized as the breather tube, and then this part is a bolt shaft. This type of bolt is recognized for grout supported anchoring. In simple, the solid bolts having thread type of structure, you can see thread type of structure, and then end is supported by face plate, and this lower part is connected with some nut, and this outer part is sometimes pointed in nature and bifurcated up to certain extent. This part we are going to utilize for anchoring of strata when going to insert. In case of the tube, we are going to inject grouts and others, and this type of bolt we are going to utilize as grout anchored rock bolt. Rock bolt generally consists of plain steel rod or tube with a mechanical anchored at one end and face plate and nut at another end. These are simple and quick to apply and are relatively inexpensive or economical. The length of the rock bolt and their spacing can vary depending on the reinforcement requirement and nature of strata. The geotechnical status of ground, very simple. One end having this faceplate and nut, another end having some wedge or some anchoring arrangement. In case of solid, we are going to make some cut here. I am going to simply use this plate and nut. The simplest way concern to presentation of bolt is this. You can see this is the faceplate, this is the nut, and this is the steel rod. Installation of rock bolt is a very simple. First we are going to, here you can see one view of underground opening. Due to this there is a formation of damage zone, and we are going to enhance the strength of this damage zone. So first we are going to create this type of drill hole with help of drilling system. Then we are going to insert bolt, rock bolt with help of, you can see here, rock bolt with help of wooden hammer. This diameter of bolt is slightly less than the diameter of hole, so that easily this type of bolt can be inserted inside the created hole. So this type of hole is known as bolt hole or rock bolt hole. In rock bolt hole we are going to insert selected rock bolt with help of wooden hammer, so that the damage to the bolt can be minimized. The damage, because if we are going to use iron, then there may be damage to the nut or damage to the faceplate, first nut then faceplate. During the hammering what happens? Here I try to again recall your attention regarding the structure of bolt is a simply straight. Here for additional support we have this type of simple steel bar, one end having some bifurcation type of arrangement, interface cut, another end we are having plate, and this plate is tightened with help of this bolt, this nut. When we are going to insert this and hammer, then this part of the bolt is going to interact with this face of rock exposed in hole. Due to continuous hammering, what happens? This bolt is started changing in configuration like this. The upper portion started expanding. This upper portion started expanding and make close contact with the walls of the holes. So here, due to thrust coming from here as a reaction following the Newton's third law, and due to this closed part started moving, this part started moving here, and this part started moving here, and finally this bolt is going to make contact with the wall of the hole. Due to this, there is a development of some resistance, frictional resistance, which are not going to allow the movement of bolt following the gravitational pull toward the bottom side, and in this way this bolt is going to enhance. We will discuss regarding the various specifications. We can learn here the various kinds of rock bolts having 25 mm diameter with a slot and wedge anchored arrangement are used extensively in good to excellent quality of hard rock mass. Good to excellent quality, we have number of approaches regarding the rock mass classification for categorization of good and excellent quality of rock mass based on Q index proposed by Barton and proposed by RMR, proposed by Beniavsky as RMR. The anchorage is obtained by driving a bolt with slot into the wedge held against the end of the borehole of the bolt hole, and the bolt should be inserted by wooden hammer with a pressure of 0.5 to 0.7 MPa. Bolt insertion time 20 to 30 seconds. Frequency of hammering 2000 to 3000 impact per minute, and the lower also we are going to practice. In this case, the slotted bolt may expand to a diameter 15% more than that of the borehole. This started tightening and even more that make a close contact with the walls of the hole. The expansion of shell anchor is more versatile than the slot wedge anchor. This is concerned about the different type of bolts where the arrangement is a wedge cut or arrangement is a slot wedge anchor. Friends, if we are going to classify rock bolts in general, then we can categorize a rock bolt in two categories based on the nature and geometry of rock bolts. Previously, we have discussed about the insertion method following the geometry of bolt hole. Here, broadly, the rock bolts can be divided in two categories. First is a solid rock bolt and second is hollow rock bolts. You can see solid rock bolts and hollow rock bolts. Then solid rock bolt is generally utilized as a point anchor, and the hollow rock bolts we will discuss. These hollow rock bolts generally we are going to utilize as cylindrical rock bolts, cylindrical hollow rock bolts having opening at the top of the cylinder, and here another opening for injection of grout. Another type of modification in cylindrical bolt is slightly serrated in nature, also utilized for some special purpose. Here the opening is going to receive grout and here the releasing point. Recently, a professor from Anna University, Professor Chris Nivas, in association with me and my advice and his full credit, I am as a supporting component in that. He has created a bulbous type of rock bolt, here opening for injection of grout, then opening to release grout, inserted grout, and for this a special type of arrangement for development of the grout material as well as the hole requires for insertion of this type of bolt. So we can see cylindrical bolts we are going to utilize frequently, but serrated and bulbous bolts are also in practice, particularly in mine area where the interlocking of coal strata, particularly in coal mining area where interlocking of coal strata is required during excavation. Another, if we are going to consider the tension aspect, then the rock bolts can be divided as pre-tensioned point anchored and untensioned full column. Mechanism based, we are having mechanically anchored rock bolt and grout anchored rock bolt. Cylindrical hollow rock bolts have hollow cylindrical steel tube, not rod, and hollow rock bolts, there is a hole in center of the rock bolt, and this hole is used for grouting process and trapping tubes are removed. These are designed to facilitate grouting process more consistent. Based on mechanics of working or anchoring, the rock bolts can be divided in two categories: mechanically anchored rock bolt and grout anchored rock bolt. The mechanically anchored rock bolt utilize the frictional resistance between the bolt and rock mass through radial expansion of rock bolt, as we have already discussed in case of insertion of rock bolt. That was example of mechanically anchored rock bolt. The earlier version of the bolts utilizes expansion wedges at their anchored, but we have now slot wedge also as extension. The modern version of bolts such as split sets or swellets having the cut throughout the entire area. Throughout the entire area you can see. So various types of modifications are available in bolt for enhancing the strength of rock. As compared with the earlier version, the modern one can be installed in much weaker rocks and they provide immediate anchorage. Some examples we can see: mechanically anchored rock bolt, expansion sail, then friction anchored rock bolts, split sails here, then friction anchored rock bolt swellets, full. As far as the mechanical anchored rock bolt is concerned, in case of mechanically anchored rock bolts, if you see, we are going to define this aspect up to which extent we are going to. First here I try to show this figure. This is one view for mechanically anchored rock bolt. For mechanically anchored rock bolts, we are going to first define up to what extent there is thickness of damage zone, means the extension of the damage zone which we are going to anchor. Next, about the nature of the intact host zone where we are going to hang all the materials. And third, about the pattern of the bolt. So this you can see the frictional resistance acting here, that is responsible for mechanically anchored rock bolt. Then we have grout anchored rock bolt. Grout anchored rock bolt, we have two aspects. One is here solid rock bolts. We are going to put one cement capsule immersed in water that are having some quick setting cement on the top of the bolt, then started hammering in developed bolt hole. Due to interaction between this wall and the surface of the tube which is lying at the top of the bolt is fractured, and the weight or fluid cement material started flowing and make this bolt intact. In another case, as we have already discussed in case of full column, here this bolt hole, in this bolt hole we are going to insert tube type of bolt. Inside this we are going to inject grout inside this bolt. This opening is going to allow the release of grout, and this grout is going to make this whole system intact. Here we are going to tighten this system, and in this way we are going to. On the basis of working, the effect can be recognized mainly as suspension effect, then beam building effect, then arching effect. Suspension effect, as per concept of the suspension effect, here we are going to suspend a particular load caused due to formation of this damage zone. This damage zone we are going to suspend here on the face plate. In this bolt is under tension and going to suspend this mass, therefore recognized as suspension effect. Another is we are going to stitch all the damaged rock and make this block as a simple beam. This is known as beam building effect. In another case, there is arching effect. We are going to insert the bolt inside the strata and make this structure. This bolt is going to When there is no detachment, not allowing to move this block here, then there is arching effect. This is example of beam effect. In suspension effect, on which the bolts is a maximum working, the suspension effect in rock bolt refers to the mechanism by which a bolt provides anchorage to damage rock strata and support and transfer the load from the underground rock mass to the bolt itself and strata of fixing rock bolt here. This effect is crucial for stabilizing rock structure in tunnels, mines, in slope, in underground space structures, caverns, etc. The design of the rock bolt for their suspension effect involves three main steps that depends on first the extent of damage zone, first extent of zone to which suspended and the magnitude of load. What is the extension of this damage zone and what is the magnitude of load caused by due to formation of this damage zone. Then about the strength of stable zone, is able to hold the load of this transferred through this rod or not. And then about the pattern of the rock bolting, how many numbers of bolts are required and what is the geometry of bolts and length of bolt, etc. You can see the success of the suspension effect depends on the frictional stress working here, about the strength of the bolt and about the strength of this holding zone. If holding zone is weak, then the whole system may slide down. If the bolt is weak, then the whole bolt is going to break. And if the frictional resistance, is less, then this whole system become loose. Therefore, we are going to prefer grout anchored rock bolt, because in future this type of bolt is going to show creep problem in metals and the loosening in contact between the walls of the hole and surface of the hole, etc. In case of the grout anchored rock bolt, you can see in case of the grout anchored rock bolt, here we are going to insert the grout inside this and we are having here three interface. One is the wall of tube, another is the grout material. So the contact between this wall and the grout surface and the grout surface and this both type of junctions making this structure competent to hold for longer time. And what is the benefit of this mechanically anchored rock bolt? That can be utilized further and further. However, the grout anchored rock bolt cannot be utilized further due to permanent closing of this. Therefore, we are going to left the tube bolts inside. This material I have collected from the book written by Singhvi and Goyal, and name of the book is Tunneling in Weak Rock, published through Elsevier Geoengineering Work, that is edited by Professor John A. Hudson from Imperial College London. Then partial support from the book Bhutkuri and Lama Katsuyama in 1994, Introduction to Rock Mechanics, published in Japan, and partial support, very limited support from the Engineering Geology book written by Well and Foundation of Engineering Geology written by Waltham and Kashu. Here in conclusion, we can summarize the rock bolts are simple, cost effective and easy in installation. The rock bolt consists of steel bar, plate and nut or wire. Two types of rock bolts are grouped based on nature, solid and hollow. Then hollow, indifferent, serrated, cylindrical and bulbous. Then based on the mechanism, we have mechanically anchored rock bolt, grout anchored rock bolt. Mechanism of working based on suspension, beam and arch building effect. And design of rock bolts for their suspension effect involve three steps: identification regarding the extent of damage zone, then the condition of the host zone, and the strength of bolt as well as pattern of bolt. Dear friends, in this class we have elaborated about rock bolts, classification of rock bolts, installation pattern, and working with suspension, beam building and arch building effects. The determination of number and length of bolts and how bolts are strengthening the rock mass we will discuss in our future classes in estimation of rock load or ground pressure. Thank you for your patience.